You don't usually notice the exact moment someone loses interest in you. There's no sound, no signal, no dramatic shift. Just a subtle change in how they look at you. A pause that lasts a second too long. A reply that feels slightly colder. A conversation that dies faster than it should. And the unsettling part? Most of the time, it's not because of how you look. It's because of small habits, the kind you repeat every day without thinking. Habits that slowly reshape how people feel around you, until one day, they don't feel much at all. And what makes this dangerous is that no one tells you. They just drift. Stay with me, because somewhere in this, you're going to recognize something. Maybe more than one thing. Once you understand these habits, they become impossible to ignore. The first habit is subtle. Almost invisible. But once you notice it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. It's when you constantly explain yourself. Not openly. Not obviously. But in little ways. You justify your opinions before anyone challenges them. You soften your statements with phrases like, I might be wrong, but, or this might sound stupid. It feels harmless. Even polite. But what people actually feel is uncertainty. Imagine you're talking to someone, and every time they speak, they act like they don't fully believe their own words. At first, you lean in. You try to reassure them. But over time, something shifts. You stop trusting their confidence. And eventually, you stop feeling drawn to them. Attraction isn't just about what you say. It's about how much you believe it. And when you constantly dilute your own presence, people feel it, even if they don't know why. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. You might think you're being humble. But what you're really doing is asking for permission to exist. And people don't feel attracted to hesitation. They feel attracted to certainty. Even quiet certainty. The second habit is more dangerous, because it hides behind something that feels positive. You try too hard to be liked. You agree quickly. You laugh a little louder than necessary. You adjust your personality depending on who you're with. At first, this works. People enjoy being around someone easy. But over time, something feels off. Because there's no friction. No edges. No resistance. No sense of who you really are. And here's the twist most people never realize. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with authenticity. And authenticity requires the risk of being disliked. When you erase your own preferences to fit into every situation, you become forgettable. Not because you're boring. But because there's nothing solid to hold on to. Think about the people you're naturally drawn to. They're not always the nicest. Or the most agreeable. But they feel real. And real is rare. Now, here's a curveball you probably didn't see coming. Being liked by everyone is often a sign that no one feels anything strongly about you. That silence you sometimes notice after you leave a room? It's not admiration. It's neutrality. And neutrality kills attraction faster than rejection ever could. The third habit is something almost everyone does, but no one wants to admit. You overshare too soon. You open up quickly. You reveal personal details early. You try to build connection by accelerating intimacy. It feels honest. Vulnerable. Even brave. But here's what people actually feel. Pressure. Because emotional connection isn't just about depth. It's about timing. When someone barely knows you, and suddenly they're exposed to your deepest thoughts, your past struggles, your fears. It creates imbalance. Not closeness. It's like skipping chapters in a story and jumping straight to the ending. There's no build-up. No curiosity. No discovery. And without those, attraction struggles to grow. Connection isn't something you force. It's something you allow. Slowly. And when you rush it, people instinctively pull back. Not because they don't care. but because something feels off. Now here's where things get even more subtle. The fourth habit isn't about what you say. It's about what you tolerate. You accept low effort from people. You respond quickly, even when they take hours. You show interest even when they barely reciprocate. You give attention without receiving much in return. At first, it feels like you're being patient, understanding, kind. But over time, a quiet shift happens. People start to mirror the value you show for yourself. If you accept inconsistency, they become inconsistent. If you accept minimal effort, they give less. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Attraction often grows in spaces where value is respected, not where it's freely given without boundaries. This doesn't mean playing games. It means recognizing that your time, your energy, your attention carry weight. And when you treat them like they don't, others will too. Now pause for a second. Because this next one tends to hit harder than most. The fifth habit is emotional predictability. You always react the same way. Same tone. Same energy. Same responses. People can predict exactly how you'll behave in any situation. At first, this feels safe, stable. But over time, it becomes dull. Because part of attraction is uncertainty. Not chaos. Not inconsistency. But a sense that there's more to discover. Something unexpected beneath the surface. When everything about you becomes predictable, curiosity fades. And without curiosity, attention drifts. Here's a small scenario. You text someone. They reply. You respond instantly. They reply again. You respond again. There's no pause. No variation. No rhythm. It becomes mechanical. And even if the conversation is good, it feels flat. Now here's the twist. It's not about delaying replies or playing hard to get. It's about having a life that naturally creates space. Moments where you're not always available. Not because you're trying to create attraction, but because you're actually living. And that difference is everything. The sixth habit is quieter. But it lingers. You carry subtle negativity. Not obvious complaining. Not constant pessimism. But small things. You point out what's wrong before what's right. You notice flaws quickly. You make slightly critical remarks that feel like jokes, but aren't. At first, people brush it off. But over time, it changes how they feel around you. Because energy is contagious. And subtle negativity creates emotional weight. Conversations feel heavier. Interactions feel slightly draining. And people may not know why, but they start to limit how much time they spend around you. Now here's the part most people miss. You don't need to be overly positive. You just need to be aware of what you amplify. Because whatever you consistently focus on becomes the emotional atmosphere around you. And attraction struggles to survive in heavy environments. Now we're getting deeper. The seventh habit is insecurity disguised as humor. You make jokes at your own expense. You downplay your strengths before anyone else can. You turn your flaws into punchlines. It feels self-aware. Even charming. And in small doses, it can be. But when it becomes a pattern, it sends a different message. It tells people how to see you. Because humor doesn't just entertain. It frames perception. If you constantly present yourself as inadequate, awkward, or not good enough, people start to internalize that version of you. Even if it's not true. And the strange part is, they won't question it. Because you said it first. Now here's a perspective shift. Confidence isn't about saying you're amazing. It's about not needing to convince anyone you're not. Silence often carries more power than self-deprecation ever will. The eighth habit is something that feels completely normal, but quietly erodes attraction over time. You seek validation too often. You ask questions like, "Do you think I did okay? Or was that good? Or do you still like me?" Not occasionally, but repeatedly. It creates a subtle dynamic where the other person becomes the source of your emotional stability. And at first, they might respond. They reassure you. They validate you. But over time, it becomes exhausting. Because attraction thrives on mutual energy, not emotional dependency. When someone feels responsible for maintaining your confidence, it shifts the balance. And that shift weakens the connection. Now here's the uncomfortable realization. The more you chase reassurance, the more uncertain you appear. And uncertainty rarely inspires attraction. It invites doubt. And doubt spreads quietly. Now we reach the 9th habit. And this one ties everything together in a way you might not expect. You don't leave space for people to miss you. You're always there. Always available. Always present. No gaps. No absence. No distance. At first, this feels like consistency. Reliability. But over time, something important disappears. Anticipation. Because people don't just value presence. They value contrast. The difference between having you and not having you. When that contrast disappears, so does a layer of emotional depth. Now here's the twist that most people ignore. It's not your constant presence that builds attraction. It's the moments in between. The silence. The absence. The space where someone thinks about you without you being there. That's where attachment grows. Not in constant exposure, but in intermittent absence. And when you remove that completely, the connection flattens. Quietly. Almost invisibly. Now let's come back to where we started. That moment when someone slowly loses interest. No argument. No clear reason. Just a shift. It's rarely one big mistake. It's these small habits, stacking over time. Little signals. Repeated patterns. Subtle emotional cues. Until one day, the feeling is just gone. And here's the part that lingers. Most people will never tell you this. They won't explain why their energy changed. They'll just say they're busy or not feeling it or going through something. But now, you see what's underneath. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. In conversations. In interactions. Even in yourself. That moment when you almost apologize for your own opinion. That time you laughed a little too hard just to keep things smooth. That urge to fill silence, instead of letting it breathe. Those tiny choices, they shape perception more than you think. And here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Attraction isn't built in grand gestures. It's built, or broken, in patterns. Patterns so small, they feel invisible. Until they're not. If something in this made you pause, even for a second, that's not random. That's awareness kicking in. And awareness is where change begins. Not overnight. Not perfectly. But gradually. Quietly. Just like the habits themselves. If you made it this far, there's a reason. Drop a comment with the number of the habit that hit you the hardest. And if you want more videos like this, the kind that make you see things a little differently, you already know what to do. Just don't rush it. Some habits take time to unlearn. And some realizations stay with you longer than you expect.